Hey, yo, welcome into CHGO Bets Daily, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app today and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Welcome into the Studio B of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm Sean Anderson, the host of CHGO Bets Daily. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. No Cody Delmendo today. We got our guy Joey Spathis producing the show.
Hello, Sean.
You excited for Texas? Hook 'em?
Yes. About what? The bowl game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got Washington tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you, as the Texas guy, would be
Well, I saw
elated.
you said that as if it was like there was like, I was confused. Yes, we are excited for the bowl game.
I mean, didn't you go to the season opener? You went down to Austin to
No, I went for the Alabama game.
the Alabama game.
Yes.
All right. So Washington's not going to get
No.
an Alabama reaction for you?
It's exciting. It's exciting. It ended up actually being a solid season for the Horns, which when at times looked like it was, it was rough at times, but Ewers got hurt, and I think it'll be a big year for the program next year. We're already back on that train. So
I don't know if they should be favored by 3. No Bijan. Who's the guy behind Bijan too?
No Bijan, no Roshan,
Yeah.
no Overshawn on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah, so all the Shans are out.
And I mean, Quinn's been like
Quinn has
with like hands and
yeah,
hand
he's been
injuries, right?
bad. He's been bad. Really since the OU game, it feels like.
Yeah.
So he was really good against Alabama, really good against OU, and then he had a couple stinkers sprinkled in.
Extremely windy in Oklahoma State, so that was one of the.
But we'll see. I mean, I think year 2 in the system will be good for him. But we'll see what he does tonight. Big game.
Will he have a year 2? What about Coop
Arch? I think he'll have a year 2, but we'll see.
I don't know. I mean,
it's definitely possible he doesn't.
Caleb Williams came in and won that job at Oklahoma.
That's true.
If Arch is that good, I don't know if Quinn is going to have a job. Anyways, I'm not betting Washington tonight. I'm going to take you through the college football playoff games, TCU versus Michigan and Georgia versus Ohio State. Both of those games taking place on Saturday. The first game, I believe, is the Fiesta Bowl, taking off at 3 p.m., and then Ohio State, Georgia at 3 p.m. I will double check that. But very excited for these games. Also, though, I could do without having a 14 playoff. Expanding it to the rumored 8, I think could be interesting for like the 4-5 matchups, maybe the 3-6 matchups. But at the end of the day, the 2's going to murder the 7, the 1's going to kill the 8, and the 1's probably going to kill the 4, like it always happens, and the 2 largely will probably kill the 3. I think there's been 9 college football playoff games that have been decided by 20-plus points. We'll start off with the TCU.
I believe it's actually going to be a 12-team format, by the way. But
is it 12-team?
But still, makes it even worse.
This is why we have producers. Thank you for fact-checking me. But yeah, no, exactly. What is the 12-team going to do against Georgia? I mean, that's going to be a 40-point
it's just more fun for the team. More teams have something to play for. And it's just better because like you can lose a game or you can lose 2 games and your season isn't necessarily like over. I think everybody basically knows who's in contention for national championships like at the beginning of the season. So it just gives, keeps gives you something to play for a little bit longer.
Even then, though, look at the Wisconsin-Oklahoma State game where you have 2 no-name QBs starting in that game.
Right.
And you see the Oklahoma State quarterback going down, and right before he's going down to try to make this a 1-point game possession, he's flipping it underhand. So, I mean, people still care about these bowl games. Oklahoma won't. I'll tell you that. I mean, I know I can bash Oklahoma with you. Oklahoma is going to get routed by Florida State tonight. We'll talk about this later.
I hope so.
Oh my God. I mean, you saw what was the score of the Red River? It was like 55-0.
49-0.
Yeah, right. I think we might see a repeat of that today. Anyways, let's jump in. What was that? I
said I hate that school.
Yeah, they're a basketball school and they still stink at that. TCU versus Michigan. Right now, Michigan favored by 7.5. The total is, I believe, at 56.5. I want to take the Wolverines. They've been so good and consistent this year. The fact that J.J. McCarthy had his best game against Ohio State, is he going to have his best game again versus TCU in this playoff? The over-under is at 58.5, and you feel brave enough to take TCU. That's at plus 255. I think it's all about J.J. McCarthy in this game. I think Max Duggan is playing. I mean, this is the biggest game in his career. He might not go to the NFL. He just had a massive, unexpected season with his TCU Horned Frogs. I know Max Duggan is going to ball out or at least take shots. J.J. McCarthy was successful taking shots in the game against Ohio State. Surprisingly to me, I had 3 tickets for Ohio State. Still pissed off about that one. But if you look at what Michigan and TCU, at least what Michigan does in the air and what TCU does defensively in the air, and Joey could talk about that, where Texas was absolutely shut down by this Horned Frogs defense. Michigan has the 30th most successful, or sorry, the 14th most successful passing offense, and the Horned Frogs have the 39th best passing defense in the league. I do think, though, with TCU's mixed run styles that they're going to present, as it was described to me, they throw a lot of ghost looks to Texas. So where the running back might think there are going to be holes, whether it's Corum or Donovan Edwards, and I think it's Edwards who's going to be getting the start for Michigan. He might see a hole, but then right when he starts going into that hole, it's closed up by a linebacker. So I think it's all going to be dependent on J.J. McCarthy here. If he's able to make those big throws and he's able to get it to the playmakers on the outside or in space like he did against Ohio State, I think that this is going to be a huge game. But I will take TCU. At least I lean TCU. 7.5 is not enough for me. Joey and I were talking about this before the show, and we don't like betting spreads just because it could be backdoor. And TCU's not going to give up. TCU has so many comebacks this year. They know how to play close games. They're consistently playing in one-possession games. I think they were in 3 different one-possession games this year. They are a great second half team as well. So I do like TCU plus 7.5. I don't think they're going to win this game, but I do think that we probably will get a banger of a game. Michigan likes to play it close, and it was also described that if TCU was compared to a Big 12 team, they might be Maryland. That was a close game in the Big House. They played one against Illinois later on in the season, and they played one earlier on in the season against Maryland. That one was tight at halftime, and if this one's tight at halftime, I think that TCU is probably going to be able to cover that 7.5. So I do lean TCU minus 7.5, plus 7.5 in the Fiesta Bowl on Saturday at 3 p.m. And then the after game, this one's going to be very interesting, especially if Michigan wins at 7 p.m. because you have Ohio State versus Georgia. Can the national championship game be the game? Can we have that matchup? Right now, Georgia is a 6.5-point favorite against the Buckeyes, and the over-under is at 62.5. And if you think the Buckeyes will win, you could take them on the money line at plus 225. I think Georgia routs them. Told you about 20-point different games or whatever, differential games in college football playoffs. I am surprised to see that Georgia is at least 1 point less of a favorite against TCU. And I understand TCU is well lower in the power ratings compared to Georgia and Ohio State. But one of the top teams in the power ratings all year consistently has been Texas. They have 4 losses. Power ratings don't mean anything. I think Ohio State doesn't have the heart that TCU does. And I know that's really unmeasurable, but TCU wasn't supposed to be here. Ohio State expects to be here. And I think that is kind of built into the culture. And I don't know if I really believe in Ryan Day. Past 2 years, success hasn't been there. And that's really what your program, when you reach these upper echelons, is judged on. So I will take Georgia minus 6.5 because Kirby Smart does it each and every year. He has his guys prepared. And what do they do in every big game this year? They win or blow out their opponents. So I will take Georgia minus 6.5. I think that's an easy bet to make just because of the way that playoff games have gone. I think just Georgia is more physical. I think that they have a better culture. I think that they have a mission, and I think that's what Kirby Smart has set off each and every season telling these players, and I think they really buy in, at least more than Ohio State has, just because there's so many different games where Ohio State is really tight with teams that they shouldn't be. They were tight with Penn State in the second half, and they really turned it on. They were tight with Maryland in the second half, and then they really turned it on. You're going to have it turned on the entire game, and if you're not, Georgia's going to punch you in the mouth. So I'll take Georgia to cover the 6.5. And hey, Why do we love college football? The fans, the tradition, the glory. There's nothing more thrilling than college football. It's bowl season, and the action is far from over. My go-to for betting is on DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps. Again, we got the Fiesta Bowl, we got the Peach Bowl coming up, and right now, new customers can place a $5 pregame moneyline bet on a college football team to win and get $150 in free bets if they do. So, hey, Georgia might not be that interesting at minus 265 odds when you place $5 on. You only win 188, but we'll get to your question in a second, Sean. But if you're a new customer and you're betting $5 on, you'll get $150 if Georgia wins. So make sure you're taking advantage. If you are a new customer, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use code CHGO. Plus, everyone can combine multiple bets for a bigger payout with DraftKings same-game parlays. You can download the app now, use code CHGO. New customers can place a $5 pregame moneyline bet on a college football team to win and get $150 if your team does. That's code CHGO only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. All right, let's go to my top 5 bets for tonight, and I appreciate King Pookie being in here. Rest in peace, Pele. And I appreciate Sean Jankowski being in here. Do you recommend the Iowa versus Kentucky under? And yes and no. So we're going to go and, it's reverse order. My bad. So the 5th best bet, my bad, Joey. That's on me. That's on me.
Nope. We share responsibility here.
Okay. Why don't you just show them all? Can you do that?
You want me to show them all?
Yeah, just show them all.
Oh, sure.
All right, there we go. So the 5th best bet tonight, and this is for this weekend as well. There is some college football this weekend. Iowa, Kentucky overtime. So I don't love the under just because when it's 31.5, and I got burned by this with Army Navy, it's just so hard to really separate yourself enough to where the under is going to cash, right? If you're thinking they're going to get up to 31 points, you're expecting a 17-14 game, and now I can't do math. A 17-14 game, right? I mean, what if they miss that field goal? What if it's 14-14? So I really don't love the under 31.5 for Iowa versus Kentucky just because all of these games have been under heavy. All of these bowl games have been under heavy with the opt-outs, with, just teams not really being comfortable in these different buildings and different facilities. So I think that this Iowa-Kentucky game can go to overtime. So I'm not really taking the under of 31.5. I understand why people are, just because these offenses are horrible. And I'm upset about Arkansas-Kansas just because that name kind of gave you away that was going to go to overtime. Whenever there's the battle for Kansas, whether it's Arkansas or Kansas, I think that game should be going to overtime. So I'm pretty peeved I didn't bet that one. But with the total this low, no Will Levis for Kentucky. Iowa's defense is really fantastic. Kentucky's defense is, typically has no problem with SEC offenses. So they're not going to have any problem with this Iowa high school offense. Maybe I get burned if this is a 10-7 game. But I'm going to say this game goes to overtime, and you can't just bet that on DraftKings Sportsbook. You have to put it in a same-game parlay. So I'm taking yes for overtime and over 27.5 points, because I think that would be what I forgot to 14 plus 14 is 28.
That is 28, correct.
Thank you very much. So if they both score 2 touchdowns, that's why I'm taking it. I think that this could go 14-14 at the end of the regulation and then go to overtime. That's at plus 900. So that's how I would bet the Iowa-Kentucky game. The other best bet for tonight, Donovan Mitchell, 30-plus points versus Indiana. That's at plus 130. Indiana plays fast. Buddy Hield is a below-average defender. Reason why he's on NBA teams and has bounced around is because he could shoot the 3-ball really well. But even at Oklahoma, he was his team's worst defender. So I will take Donovan Mitchell, who's going to be guarded by Buddy Hield, versus a team that plays fast, will allow Donovan Mitchell for some potential fast break, easy opportunities at the bucket. They don't defend the 3-point line well. So I think Donovan can get some 3 points pretty easily, and then some shots at the bucket. I really do think that Donovan Mitchell can go over 30 easily. He's gone over 30 in 18 of his 30 games this season. And this is from Serbian NBA Capper. Who doesn't love Serbia? And you can follow him at Serbian NBA Capper on Twitter. Indiana's defense is 27 out of 30 against shooting guards, 29 out of 30 for free throws allowed. So just giving you more opportunities for Donovan to add on points. And they are 21st out of 30 in three-point percentage allowed, and they're 22nd in defensive efficiency. And they're also playing fast. They're first in pace. So I think that the Cavs and Pacers will be able to light it up. And along with that, Donovan Mitchell will have some success. Third best bet, Penn State at plus 105 on the money line in the Rose Bowl. Utah will be without their top target, Kincaid, and he's usually getting targeted about 16 times a game. And Penn State, and he's a tight end.
16?
Yeah,
that's
like
insane.
the game against USC, Cam Rising, was just locked in to Kincaid and was just going to him every single play. He's not going to be without a safety blanket. Penn State, from the numbers, is projected to win this game 51% of the time. So if you're getting it with plus money, there's no reason not to bet this. The odds are in your favor for Penn State. There is a nice lean here. There's a nice little gap here in the odds. I think that Penn State should probably be at like 110, minus 110 on the line. So the fact that you're getting them at plus 105, I think it's a fantastic bet. Penn State is the better team. They're going to have more players actually playing in the game, and I think that they have more reason to buy in. Utah, what are they really playing for? They were in this game last year. They already have a Rose Bowl appearance. I think Penn State is going to be more geared up for this game, so that's why I will take them on the money line. Second best bet of the day is going to be Florida State minus 9.5 against Oklahoma. This one is at 430. This one's so nice, I bet it twice. I took last night with my winnings, my DeMar DeRozan winnings. I took Florida State minus 9.5 at minus 110. And then I woke up with a DraftKings boost for 50% on any college football game. So why not take Florida State minus 9.5 and boost it up to plus 120? So that's my best bet, is Florida State minus 9.5 at plus 120. But if you're going to take Florida State, take them now. I like any number under 2 touchdowns, really. I think that they could win by 14 points here. The spread currently at minus 10. I would take that as well. Florida State should destroy Oklahoma. Mike Norvell really praises his guys putting in that extra effort, working. That culture is really built on that. Oklahoma, they're going to be out without a lot of guys for tonight's game, and I don't think Brett Venables in year one has that same culture built up just yet. He needs to get his first recruiting class in. I think Oklahoma gets absolutely murdered. So Florida State minus 9.5, and you're going to like that one, Joey. And here's the best bet. It's the best bet every single night the Blackhawks play. When they play a good team, you just need to bet that the good team is going to destroy the Blackhawks. The Hawks. And I stepped out after we were done with the White Sox show, and I walked over to the last game. I forget who the Hawks are playing on against, but I walked over it was the Hurricanes. I walked over to the Hawks guys who were watching the game, and it was like 7 minutes in, and the Hawks didn't even have a shot. So Blues to win or to be leading after the first period and to win after regulation at plus 170. You are getting plus money against the Blackhawks. Take it every single day. So let's go. Those are the top 5 bets. Sean Jankowski saying FYI, I just placed the Iowa and Kentucky bet. Both teams over 13.5, and OT was at plus 1,000. So nice. I hope it hits, Sean. Fingers crossed that we get some OT. Just because all of these games have been pretty tight. I mean, that Wisconsin-Oklahoma State game, that could have gone to OT. Kansas-Arkansas, that one went to OT. That North Carolina Oregon game was 28-27. You make the extra point. That one goes to OT. So I think there's a ton of possibility that some game this weekend goes to overtime. And I think that the lowest scoring one definitely will be the one that probably cashes for us. So let's roll with Iowa, Kentucky, just because those teams are so neck and neck. They both have great defenses and really bad offenses. So overtime, let's go. Hopefully they can just score 2 touchdowns and then send it to overtime. And then Sean and I will be very, very, very happy. 2 happy Seans. Who doesn't love that? Hopefully the Longhorns win, so Joey will be happy himself. Thank you to Joey Spathis for producing this show. I'm Sean Anderson.
Hey, thank you to Sean for hosting the show.
Hey, no problem, man. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Follow Joey's fire edits at Joey Spathis.
And we'll make the numbers smaller next time.
Yeah, we'll make the small, just a little bit, bit. You know,
pretty good amounts.
I think maybe you just needed a little bit more up close photo of Devontae.
It's hard.
I think it was
tough.
Yeah, I think it was the arm spread that really got you. I think you just needed more chest up. Anyways, you'll get.
We're learning. Kid. We're learning.
Yeah, hey, you're doing great. Make sure you follow Joey on Twitter. Road to 1K.
Yeah, still going.
Is it road to 900 or?
Yes.
Okay. Road to 900. So make sure you're following.
We like to skip over that milestone, though.
we'll just make sure you're following Joey at Joey Spathis. Thank you, Sean, for watching, and we will talk to you next week when we are, in fact, millionaires.